put you in break room, maybe around 5 to 10 people in each room, and then we will collaborate to each other. We will share our experiences in terms of distance learning, on how your district respond to distance learning, and with the parents as well and stuff like that. Anyway, let's do this. So transitioning to distance learning, a new normal. So later on, I'm going to talk about some tips, some challenges that I've encountered, and I know that you've encountered as well, and some strategies, especially in dealing with the problems and with the needs of our students, not only with the regular children, but of course with the special education children as well. So here is the objectives that we'll be talking about in the rest of the webinar today. So first, we'll talk about basics of distance learning. I know hindi po siya iba sa inyo kasi we've been doing this for a couple of months. At alam ko po na kahit pa paano meron po kayong basics, meron po kayong knowledge in terms of distance learning. So also, we'll be talking about some future of distance learning. Ano ba yung outcome nito 5 years from now? As I said, we'll be talking about some challenges, tips, and strategies that you can use in your classroom, and of course, in the remote learning at home as well. And here's the main part that I'd like to share are the ways to transition your IEP goals to remote learning. So we'll be talking about how to handle those accommodations, modifications, and adaptations for your IEP kids. How we support and modify and accommodate our students in an emergency situation like what we are experiencing like now. This is unprecedented event, pandemic, hindi po natin alam na magkakaroon ng ganito. And we're not prepared. I'm not prepared. And I know you too is not prepared for this. So sabi nga po niya, Secretary Biones, the Department of Education Secretary, she said that the Department of Education will ensure the health and safety of our learners and for all as well. So the basic education will be within the reach of our people amidst of COVID-19. Sabi ni UNESCO Director, Audrey Azoulay, with this pandemic, if prolonged, knock on the wood, I want to stop na. I'd like to hopefully matapos na yung pandemic kasi grabe, it ruined a lot of lives. It could threaten the right to education. And I feel that it really threatens the quality and the life of our children. So this one, it was dated March of 2020 with the coronavirus outbreak. The impact of this is very unlikely, from the economic, with the socioeconomic status of of our country, in your country as well, and in the world. It impacts a lot of things, not only with the society, but of course in education as well. So by March 2020, like 4 months ago, the virus prompted school closure, disrupting education for at least 119 countries. It's, as much as I know, there's 150 territories and countries all over the world, and almost there, 100%, almost 100%, nag-shutdown talaga. So before I start, ito na po yung sinasabi ko pong breakout room na we will collaborate to each other. And I said this is unlike an interactive webinar. So we'll be talking about our personal experiences about distance learning. And here's the first breakout room. It is a think, pair, and share. So this is the question. Has your school switched to remote learning? How is it going so far? What does like a normal day, like a school day look like for you? Are you able to stay on task? Kasi for me, hindi ko kaya mag-stay on task. Do you have enough work to do, or is it like too much?
Love you, baby ko. Miss kita.
Sorry po. Sorry for that. It's not me. But anyway, let's move on. So how's your school switch to remote learning? What does school day looks like for you? Are you able to stay on task? What did you miss? What did you miss about going to school in person every day? And what do you miss the least? So I know marami kayong experiences in terms of shifting from regular schooling into distance learning, into remote learning. I'd like to hear that. Can we do the breakout room, Teacher Mai?
Sure, I'll take it from here. So basically, gusto lang po namin kayo parang sharing, and then when we come back to our main room, main meeting room, Teacher Al will ask them, siguro a few of them, to share what they have shared from their rooms. Okay, so we'll be making 10 rooms, and then with 4 to 5, ano po tayo. Okay, see you later.
All right, so here's the top 5 warnings and tips na pwede ko pong ma-share sa remote learning. So first thing na warning, not really warning, ito pa usually nakikita natin. Number 1, not every home has computers or high-speed internet. And I feel like most of our families, especially dun po sa low-income families, ay alam po natin na medyo hirap po sila sa distance learning, and it really affects the quality of education. But by the way po, before I move on to the further topics, nagpapasalamat po ako sa lahat ng parents na naging teacher na rin at the same time, at marami po sa atin ngayon ay parents. Kaya salamat po talaga sa sa pagiging teacher na din sa inyong mga anak po. Kaya thank you so much. So back to the topic, again, not every home has computers. So sabi nga nila, ano ba yung distance learning? Ito lang ba yung just technology? Is it just by my kid sitting on his computer and doing some activities? Or is it just by my kid doing something, not only with the computer, with the tablet or laptop, and doing some paperwork or some modules? I would say po, dito po sa lugar namin, sa district mo namin, it is a combination of online and a module. And I think and I believe that that works so far. Medyo mahirap lang po siya sa umpisa, but as time goes by, medyo madali na lang po. So number 2 po, younger children requires a lot of adult supervision. And we know in the fact na yung focus, yung attention span ng ating mga bata, yung from ages 6 to 10 is only 10 to 15 minutes. So, take note for that po na ang bilis ng attention span ng bata. Very short attention lang po talaga. So, ang required po talaga, not really required, but the standard of remote learning is only maximum of 3 hours. It doesn't mean that it should be straight 3 hours. It could be like staggered 30 minutes. It really depends po sa inyo. But as much as possible per day, make sure yung bata po is doing maximum of 3 hours of doing distance learning at home. So yun po. Next po. So po yung sign na medyo na-challenge po talaga tayong lahat. Kasi even great teachers like a seasonal or the phenomenal teachers that we know really struggling with the distance learning because I am seeing that they are kind of like lacking of skills in terms of the technology. So lack expertise in creating online lessons. And I know, based on my experience po, kasi yung tatay ko po, he's a public school teacher sa Lagro High School in Quezon City. Parang halos araw-araw niya po since March. So halos araw-araw niya ako ina-update, tinatawagan niya ako just to ask questions about, hey, how to make presentation online? How do I edit this? How do I present this? So ganun mga basic skills, medyo mahirap po, especially sa mga seasonal teachers natin na lack of exposure in technology. Ito po yung pang-apat, so top 4, students with special needs can be the hardest teach virtually. And I admit, promise, napakahirap po magturo sa ating mga batang, with a special needs. Kasi first of all, you have to make sure that they have routine. And for us to establish a routine, you have to have a good connection to your student. You have to have a good schedule to your student, which in fact, in doing distance learning, that's the main challenge, especially sa mga bahay, sa mga remote areas natin. It's too hard to establish that kind of routine. So mamaya, sasabihin ko po yung mga tips and tricks on how to do that with establishing routines at home. And number 5, schools provide more than academic skills. So alam niyo po ba sa kaya pumapasok yung mga bata, not only for, they want to learn something academically, but one of the factors that we need to consider, bakit yung mga bata, they're very eager to go to schools because of socialization. They want to, to interact with their peers. They want to converse with their teachers. They want to, make friends. And one of the things that we need to know is that yung holistic development ng bata is not only with the books. It's not only with academic. They usually learn from experiences. And that, with the socialization piece, medyo yun yung malaking part na nawala when we move to distance learning. At ayun po ang mahirap. Alam niyo po ba, marami po akong mga estudyante, kasi I teach in the middle school. So parang medyo, na po sila, socially they are developed na. So they are kind of like open up. They're opening up sa akin na I'm having anxiety, Mr. Felipe. I haven't eaten well. I haven't got a good sleep so far. Tapos I asked why? What happened? They told me one of the reasons bakit parang anxious sila kasi they feel like yung distance learning, alam niyo, hindi sila prepared. And I told them, you know what? Don't be anxious. Kasi first of all, kami mga teachers nyo, medyo nahihirapan din kami sa distance learning. So, try to give empathy for our students. And not only for our students, but for your parents as well. Number 1 communication key is to give empathy, especially at this time of crisis na we really don't know what's going on. All right? So ano ba talaga yung distance learning? So according to Simonson, he said distance learning is the learning methodology. And I was like, one of the innovative thing happened in the academy so far is distance learning. You know why? With the distance learning, we can give variety of learning materials. We can have a large audiences. Yung mga ganun po na hindi natin magagawa into like a regular classrooms, into like traditional classrooms. Kasi in traditional classrooms, we have to make sure that we have a good ratio of teacher-students ratio. You need to make sure that we have good space, good rooms na ma-accommodate natin yung mga bata. But with the distance learning, with the distance education, we really don't need to think about that space. Kasi with this kind of innovative education, yung space parang hindi natin problema. But the main thing for distance learning is that we need to make sure that our students are safe. So that means we need to collaborate later on. Collaboration for the parents, we will be talking about that later on what are the keys or what are the elements that we need to take a look. So here, ito po yung model of distance learning by TACE 2019. So ano ba yung criteria ng distance learning? Alam niyo naman yung distance learning before. I know you had trainings with this, but let's dive a little bit deeper with the distance learning, all right? So first, communication between instructor and learners is non-contagiously, okay? So alam mo yung factor para pong maging successful ang ating distance learning, alam mo kahit saan talaga, hindi mawawala yung good collaboration and good communications. Again, that's the key point of assuring that the distance learning is successful. You have to have good collaboration with your parents, with the guardian of your student, establish a, establish a good communication. But how are we going to establish a good communication? First, you have to make sure na meron po tayong routine. Like, you need to tell your parents, you need to tell your guardians na, hey, mom or dad, every Monday through Friday, my office hour is only from 8 to 12 p.m. So that means during that time, from 8 to noon, that's the only time that they can text you, they can call you, they can ask some questions about some clarifications with their assignments or homeworks at home. So with that thing, giving constant schedule will make parents feel comfortable. Kasi for sure, but in fact, with the complexities at home, we don't know what's going on at home. Kung meron ba silang work, kung okay pa ba sila, health concerns, there's a lot of factors that we need to consider. And for us teachers, we're getting that kind of anxiety, right? So the thing that we need to make sure is to establish office hours. Okay? So darating na po yung pasukan natin by August. So you need to make sure one of the checklists that you need to do is to establish and make sure you have office hours. Okay? Next, two-way educational communication between instructors and learners. So two-way educational communication, it doesn't mean na more on modules lang kayo, more on presentation lang kayo. So again, it's a combination of both modules and with the online platform that you are using in your district. Third, communication channel. So communication channel can be done through, there's a lot of ways for us to establish good communication channels. There's, social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There's like mail. Hindi naman nawawala yung mga snail mail. We can still use that with the various learning opportunities. With the distance, if I were given a chance to talk about it, maybe I can share a lot of apps or, a lot of like a software thing that we are using and hopefully you can use as well. Another future trends in distance learning is that we can reach, bigger audiences. As I said earlier, ano po, dun sa traditional classroom natin, limitado lang, usually maximum of 25 or maybe 30, di ba po? With the distance learning, very flexible siya. Anywhere or anytime you can do distance learning. So ayun yung mga good points niya. Another thing, it costs like a cheaper cost for formal education as compared with the traditional medyo pricey, pero sa distance learning medyo medyo affordable. However, you need to make sure, ito na yung sa mga higher level you need to make sure na yung module or yung system na papasukin nila or yung course na papasukin nila is suitable to their needs. Okay, and also better software development, increase employment and development in communities, yes. Oops, we're now on Think, Pair, Share. Medyo limited na po yung time natin, kaya siguro kahit hindi na po tayo mag-breakout rooms. And here's my question for you. If you want to just share your experiences, if you have any answer for this, please share po natin. Ito po. So again, how do you feel about distance learning? What are your main concerns in doing remote learning? Tapos, isipin po natin the future. 5 years from now, what do you think the future of distance education? Anybody po from our audience?
Hi, educators. If you want to share, just feel free to unmute and share your reflection on your thoughts on how do you feel about distance education and main concerns. Actually, Sir, Teacher Aldwin, madami sa chat, like they mentioned about the distraction sa bahay,
Correct, yeah.
technology na ginagamit,
Opo.
had high-speed internet. Teachers also mentioned yung mga actually, I think it was Dean Corazon who mentioned that the young ones are actually somehow prepared, but ibang teachers natin na medyo may edad na daw, medyo nahihirapan, nangangapa sa distance learning, especially on online, if we can't do the modular.
I agree po.
And good point, Ma'am Veronica, about the quality of teaching.
Right, right.
I believe hindi walang katumbas sa face-to-face classroom interaction pa din ng students and teachers.
Tama po. I agree with those, with those experiences. Yes, Ma'am Liwayway, Dean Liwayway, do you want to share your experience po? You can unmute po so we can hear you po.
Teacher Aldwin, I'd also like to just read this one from Guy Abelia. This is really a good point. The validity of the assessment. So as educators, how do we make sure that these assessments are valid and
Opo, yeah. Maano po natin yan, matatalakay later.
And teacher Genevieve mentioned that they did a simulation of distance learning in their school and it was 10 times harder doing it face-to-face.
Yes! 10 times harder. Actually, hindi talaga nakatulog.
Okay, good morning.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm very proud of our alumnus, Aldwin, for being the speaker today. So what I would like to share with the group is that currently New Era University has a platform and we have this platform since 10 years ago. But since the 10 years ago, many of our teachers have not made use of this platform. We call it Virtual Learning Management System of New Era University or NUBLE. And currently our school is undergoing training of our teachers. And what I have noticed is that we are really struggling. Everyone is struggling with the preparation of modules. And but I think we have a good future with regards to distance learning because our college students later on would be able to find work while they are learning at home. So I think later on when students and teachers and schools will be able to adjust properly, then I think many of our students would like to do this distance learning later on.
I agree po. Totoo po.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Ma'am Corazon. And it's good to know po na 10 years back, medyo ready na po ang New Era on that. Good job. Teacher Aldwin, last, I'd just like to read some of the comments as well, that 5 years from now, Sir Luigi thinks that and feels that remote learning is more established for every stakeholders. That's very true, sir. Given what we're experiencing, lahat naman po siguro nagde-develop and we've I know how amazing technology is, like how Zoom works right now. Kahit saan po tayong part ng world, basta magkausap lang po ng certain time, we're able to meet.
Totoo po. Ayun po. All right. Thank you
Very
for
trite.
sharing your experiences po. And thank you po. All right. So moving on. So here are the future of distance learning. And here's the research. Oops, make it fast. So by March 2020, at least 73 countries are closed due to pandemic. Why we need to go online? Because this is the only thing that we can do. This is the only thing that we can do for us to to adapt what are the changes or what are the shifts or what are the challenges with the with the pandemic that we're experiencing right now. And as Ma'am Liwayway said earlier, with the distance learning, it is very adaptable and flexible. You can You can do it anytime, anywhere. You don't need to go to the regular classroom. That's that's a good thing for the distance learning. And at the same time, you can work. Alam mo yung mga trending ngayon, you can sell online. You can be like a YouTuber. You can be a vlogger. Yung mga ganun, yung mga sideline na pwede natin gawin. Actually, yun yung mga skills ng mga estudyante natin na nakikita natin na magiging successful sila while doing distance learning. Teachers expand the use of online learning tools. As time goes by, marami tayong natututunan with the apps or with the systems that we are using, and hopefully, wala na. At least prepared tayo at alam natin yung mga gagawin natin. Proactive school closure, closing schools before there's a case have been shown to be one of the most powerful. Okay. So that's from Dr. Nicolas. So here are the challenges, and I know na-experience nyo rin po ito. Insufficient infrastructure. This is according to the research. Nearly 18% of school-age children don't, even living in the big cities, kahit dito rin po, wala pan, there's a diverse learner. Marami talaga from all walks of life, from the richest to the poorest. Makikita niyo talaga na hindi talaga stable. Some of our families, they really don't have means of getting internet connection. Kaya yun yung factor na kailangan natin consider when doing distance learning. Ayan, lack of technology, kasi some of our low-income families, maybe the only thing that they have is cell phone. Di ba po? So medyo mahirap talaga ang distance learning. Kaya naman, I salute all of the teachers who survive so far, at let's keep doing this. Okay. So more than education, 30 million children rely on free or reduced cost lunches provided in school. You know what? Dito po sa amin, one of the reasons why our students going to school is because not only they want to get quality education, but wala pong laman yung kanilang child. Yung usually po yung mga low-income families namin, yung hindi kaya mag-provide ng meals, the schools are providing meals for them. So a part of, going to school for learning, pupunta rin sila sa school para lang may panlaman din yung child nila. All right. Oops, what's going on? So 5 reasons why online learning is the future of education. Number 1, it's flexible. At the same time, we are teaching our students to establish a good time management skills. Alam natin na ang distance learning, ang one concern niyan ay mag-establish ng routine. Kasi napakadaming distraction sa bahay. Nandiyan si mama na mag-uutos. Ayan yung kapatid na kailangan mong pagtuunan ng pansin. And there's a lot of things going on at home that we don't know. So with the distance learning, it helps our student not only know to be flexible, but also to gain the time management skills. And that's, when you go like in adulthood, malalaman mo na, oh, shoes. Buti na lang natutunan ko itong time management skills na to. Kasi when you grow, when you go to the puberty age, napakadami mga, interest na pinupunta ng ating mga estudyante. Kaya minsan, yung pag-aaral, hindi nila napagtutuunan ng pansin. Kasi napakadaming mga extracurricular activities. Pero mas malalaki daw ang alam ko. Sorry po. Next. It offers wide selection of programs. As I said earlier, when you deep into like distance learning, napakadami pong programs, and you just have to make sure na yung programs na kukunin mo ay suitable sa pangailangan ng bata. Kasi minsan may mga programs na hindi naman age level, hindi naman age appropriate. Like say for example, we have like a 6th grader, tapos yung nakitang teacher na program is like for high school student. Do you think it's appropriate? No. So you have to make sure when selecting a program is age appropriate. At the same time, nami-meet yung level of their cognitive, or should I say their, with their thinking. Kasi maraming factors kailangan talaga natin i-consider when in terms of choosing what appropriate and what best program for our students. Next, as I said, with the distance learning, it's very accessible. You can do it anytime, anywhere, with your free time. While you are working, di ba po, napakadaming chance. Sabi nga nila, wala ka nang, hindi ka nang makakahindi sa distance learning ngayon kasi lahat offered online. It allows for customized learning experience. What I want the most with the distance learning is that you can personalize. And one of the innovative things of the 21st century that we have right now is that you can have a best quality education through distance learning because you can personalize it. You can get, and you can narrow, you can narrow the thing based on the pacing of our kiddos. Kasi may mga estudyante na mabilis yung pacing, so kailangan mabilis din yung supplementary materials na ibibigay mo. Meron naman mga karamihang estudyante natin, medyo slow learners. So sometimes you have to adapt. You have to modify those materials just for them to be successful. Special needs students. Mamaya tatalakayin po natin yan. And also, it's more cost-effective than traditional education. Diba sabi ko nga po kanina, with the traditional classrooms, medyo pricey. Diba po? Especially when you go to the private schools, medyo pricey po. Pero when in terms of this distance learning, not only you have variety of programs that you can choose from, medyo kahit papaano ay affordable po siya. Alright, next. Ito po yung conceptual model ng distance education. So marami po yung mga factors like yung instructor natin. Kailangan po, being like an instructor, at alam natin na nangyayari may mga ganitong mga unprecedented things going on around, not only at home, but outside in our community. Kailangan we have to have a positive attitude. So pagbukas pa lang dapat po ng classes this fall, wag po muna tayo magbigay ng mga activities as much as possible. Ito po yung recommendation ko po based sa aking experience. Kasi po, nung nagbigay po ng activities ahead of time, wala din nangyari. Kasi first of all, hindi ko na-establish yung social-emotional thing na kailangan natin establish. Kasi for example, yung empathy, kailangan ma-establish muna natin yan. Like, ano ba yung mga statement that we can ask? Like, how are you doing today? Kamusta kayo? So as much as possible, make it positive. At yung attitude natin ay towards with positivity. Let's just stay away with the negativity, Wag po tayo, pag nagkakaroon po tayo ng FaceTime with our students, as much as possible, wag natin pag-uusapan yung mga nangyayaring super negative, like ilan na ba yung cases sa inyo? Kasi it really adds anxiety to our students. Next, for our learners, they should be motivated. And it's so hard, I admit, it's so hard for our student to have a motivation. So again, I salute our parents here sa ating mga audiences kasi aside from teaching, aside from being like a parent, they have to make sure na yung anak nila ay motivated to do distance learning. At marami akong na-experience na hindi talaga successful. Kasi first of all, they're not motivated. Kasi maybe hindi nila nakikita yung friends nila, or maybe there's like family problem. So as a teacher, we need to make sure yung mga estudyante natin are really taking a serious note in terms of distance learning. At before our students take that opportunity, we need to make sure we establish a good relationship first. Next, content. With the distance learning, we need to make sure the content is really appropriate, best suited to the needs of our student. Kasi pag hindi, mawawalan din sila ng interest. Course design, asynchronous and synchronous, you know that. Later on, those terminologies, bibigyan natin ng kaliwanagan. Instructional adaptation or adoption, support for academic staff, active role of academic management. So make sure with the distance learning, with the courses, with the module, with relationship, lahat yon, we need to make sure na nakukuha natin lahat yun. As much as possible, natatarget natin yung skills na yun. And lastly, academic support. Not only training. So that means, hindi naman talaga natin pwedeng ibigay lang yung bata. Oops, sorry. Ibigay lang yung bata, iwanan natin yung bata dyan. We need to make sure we are giving assistance. We need to make sure that the instructions are clear para, alam mo yun, para they can follow it through. Kasi pag walang assistance, how can we make sure that they are doing it properly? So as a parents, as a teacher at home, we need to make sure, and we need to clarify to our parents as well that, hey mom, hey dad, you need to make sure that there's a supervision at home. Kasi without supervision, for sure, hindi po magiging successful in distance learning. So, yep. So here's the pros and cons of distance learning. Again, we just talked about this earlier, flexibility of technology, very convenient, yung talagang gusto natin mamaya nga, baka so sobrang convenient natin, and then we move to traditional classroom again. For sure, there's a lot of regression in terms of emotional, in terms of academic. So for sure, magkakaroon tayo ng anxiety. Oh, ayun na naman yung mga estudyante natin. But, you know, being a teacher, we are very flexible and we are talented. And we have that, you know, acquired skills na kaya natin yan. Live anywhere, yep. The cons of, this is one of my favorite with the distance learning. First, it is, you can make sure that you can target individualized education or individualized instruction, because you need to target what are the things that they need to meet, you know? And of course, with the self-paced learning, alam natin, you know, some of our students are very fast learners. Some of our students are slow learners. So with the distance education, it really adapts the needs of our students. Of course, save money. Yung cons lang ng distance education, sometimes we don't know if they are motivated intrinsically or extrinsically. Maybe they needed some reward, maybe some praises, some verbal praises, just for them to, you know, to work at home. Okay, with the form of isolation, sometimes our students feels, you know, anxiety. At hindi natin matatanggal yung anxiety na yan kasi hindi naman talaga natin alam na, and we are not prepared with what's going on. And of course, with the distance learning, the thing that are lacking so far is socialization. And the good, no, not really a good thing, but one thing that we need to consider with the distance learning is that sometimes not to take away natin yung kanilang emotional development. Kaya minsan makita natin may mga behavior. Pag bumalik na sila sa regular schooling, for sure, there's a behavior concerns that we need to take a look at. All right, asynchronous and synchronous. Asynchronous, the response is immediate. Like, I want you to respond now. Okay, asynchronous, they can wait. They can respond through email and stuff like that. So those are the difference of synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous, I need your response. Asynchronous, I can wait for your response. Yan. So future of distance learning, ano natin yan kanina, napakadaming future in distance learning. Like say for example, as Dr. Luayway told earlier, now while working, they can study as well. Future of distance learning, you can take it anytime and anywhere. Alright, so pwede natin mag-move on. Wag muna tayo break room. Maybe those questions can be answered later on through question and answer. Is that okay? All right. So here, for our special education teachers, also for our regular teachers, here are the things that you need to consider. And here are the things that you need to know and to follow for us to have like a good, you know, education for all. And with a good collaboration as well, feeling ko magiging okay ang lahat. You know, it just take time. So first, 6 ways to transition IDP goals is to first we need to make sure their health connection should come to our first priority, okay? So when dealing with our parents, with our guardian, with our colleagues, we need to make sure, hey, are you okay? How do you feel right now? Kamusta yung kalagayan ng family mo? Ayun kasi yung kailangan natin establish first before anything else. We need to make sure na we can give empathy for whatever their problems are. Okay, kasi yun naman kailangan natin. We need to have a good support to each other. All right? Get everyone on the same page. That means what you're doing in the regular schooling, what are you doing in the traditional classrooms, with what kind of accommodations you are. Like say, for example, hey, my kids are doing highlighting. Let's say, for example, this one. I highlighted parts of this one. Because maybe because some of our students, they have comprehension problems. And one of the things that they can do as a teacher, or as a parent as well at home, we can highlight it. Okay, we can highlight the main points or the main ideas just to narrow down those vague words and for them to understand it easily. So those are the things that maybe we can share to our parents, the strategies that we are doing at school that can roll over at home. I think that would be great. Translate school practices to remote learning. This one could be on our support services, like for the OTs, for the speech services. Like, what are you doing with the language acquisition skills? What are you doing with the fine motor skills? So, you know, as a parents, madami talagang kailangan intindihin. And hopefully with our colleagues in our with the ancillary services, hopefully, you know, they can give those practices so it can roll over from traditional schools to at home. Here, provide tools and strategies to help. Okay, let's say, for example, you can give verbal cues, okay? Kung yung bata nagbabasa and he or she can't read, you know, multisyllabic words, you can give like, you know, you can give some signals like this word is like that. So being a parent, mahirap. Okay, kaya nga I salute the parents that we have in here. Thank you so much po. Pero as a teacher, we need to make sure those strategies that we are doing in our schools, kailangan ma-roll over at home po yan. Okay? And in terms of IEP, we can still do IEP meetings, you know, we can do phone conferences, or we can do webinar, or we can do Zoom conferences. There's a lot of ways that we can make our IEPs accurate and still going on. Here, sinasabi ko nga po kanina with the distance learning and with the transitioning our IEP goals, you have to make sure as a teacher that you have fixed schedule, fixed communication schedule. You have an office hour. Let's say, for example, hey class, parents and guardians, every Monday and Friday, my office hour is from 8 in the morning till noon. So this time of the time frame, ito lang yung time frame na pwede nyo tawagan. Pwede nyo tawagan whatever clarifications you want to hear. Kasi, syempre, as a teacher, hindi naman, you know, we're not a magician. hindi natin bibigay lahat ng solutions nila. And of course, we have our personal lives as well. So we have to, you know, to separate those two worlds. Kasi mahirap talaga pagsabayin lahat yung personal lives mo at yung working etiquette mo. Mahirap. So we have to make sure na we separate those two words. Think outside of the IEP. Suggest something new. Like, we're not only dealing with IEPs. There's a lot of things that our students can do at home, like the independent living skills. Like, you can, as a parent, you can teach, you know, how to cook, how to cook rice, as simply as that. But there's a lot of things that they need to consider, like training. You have to make sure step by step yung instruction nila. So with that, as a teacher, you have to, you know, you have to make sure na kailangan ito po yung ginagawa ng bata. Kailangan ito po yung ginagawa behaviorally or socially. So yun po. Okay. Ito po, ang number one talaga for the success of the distance learning is we need to make sure that our parents, our guardians, so maybe anybody else, they need to be engaged. We need to be engaged as well, okay? So parent engagement is very important, especially in supporting their child's academics, so in the whole thing, academics, so socialization, emotional, behavioral, communication, physical activities, those things, we need to be engaged. We need to have a two-way communication. Parents must determine what extent their child can learn independently. So pag sa bahay, makikita natin na we're not only giving assistance, we need to make sure yung assistance natin is appropriate to their levels, to their needs. Kasi when just, when as a parents, alam naman natin sometimes we are, sometimes spoiled tayo sa mga anak natin. When giving assistance, make sure hindi natin masasatiate yung mga, yung satiation level ng mga bata kasi baka they're just relying on you all the time. Learning independently, all right? Here are the supports and modifications that we can use and take, to roll over from the traditional schools to remote learning or distance learning. And, not only with the regular students, but of course with our special education, special children as well, we can use this kind of accommodations for distance learning. All right? Sabi ko nga, special education, ano ba yung nagkaiba ng special education? It is just specially designed instruction. We have the same curriculum, it's just that it is specially designed instruction just to meet the needs of our students. All right? So modification means change in what is being taught. Modification, like say for example, I am giving 20-item tests. But for modification, I can modify that, like instead of giving 20, you can make it half, make it 10, or make it odds, or you can just answer even. So those are the things that we can give to our students, like those kind of modification. And of course, we need to make sure yung parents natin, with the accommodations, you need to roll over at home, like reading aloud. You need to make sure yung parents or yung guardians, they can read, the text and passages to their kids, but not giving the answers. That's a big no-no. Next, accommodations. Accommodations is a change that helps the students. Like say, for example, do not give time tests. Okay, because sometimes time tests gives anxieties to our students. So those accommodations as well with modifications, those are the things that we need to have or we need to communicate to our parents. All right? So ito po, malapit na po tayo matapos. Jack is an 8th grade, so this is an example of accommodation that we can do at home. Oops, nakita niyo po ba ako? All right, so Jack is an 8th grade student who has learning disabilities in reading and writing. So this student has an LD in reading and writing, team taught by a general education teacher and a special ed teacher. So that means pwede siyang i-pull out. So ano ba yung mga accommodations? Ito yung traditional schools, mamaya pwede nating adapt into remote learning. So, since meron po siyang this LD or learning disability into reading and writing, maybe we can give, instead of the regular passages, we can shorten the passages and we can just give, we can highlight the passages. Maybe these are the main idea, this is the supporting details. So pwede natin gawin yung mga ganong accommodations. Nga lang, medyo matrabaho, but that's the thing. Kailangan, we need to follow their accommodations. Jack's textbook is, we're following, again, for special education. Remember, we have the same curriculum, but it is especially designed instruction. So we need to levelize the learning materials that we have at school. So kung yung bata, 8th grade student, at alam naman natin na meron siyang IEP, tapos yung kanyang cognitive level ay medyo like 4th grade level. Are we going to give like an 8th grade materials? Of course, no. We need to make sure yung kanyang level is a 4th grade level only. Or we need to make sure yung level ng bata is appropriate sa mga materials that we have na meron tayo sa room natin or sa bahay natin, dear students. Okay? Text question read or explained to him. So sa bahay, sabihin natin yung parents na, Mom, we'll be having a test in Friday. So as part of his accommodation, would you be able to read the text and the passages and the test questions? Because that's part of his IEP or that's part of his accommodation. Okay, so reading aloud, ayun yung one of the accommodations that we can give. Okay, so like say for example with this kind of scenario, meron po siyang LD in writing as well. So maybe meron siyang dyslexia. So medyo mahirap siyang mag-formulate ng mga words or yung mga reading thing or writing thing. So instead of letting our student making an essay, maybe we can do scribe as part of accommodation. Scribing, that means your student or your child is saying the answer or telling the answer to you and you'll be the one to write it or type it. Okay? Ano pa ba yung mga ibang pwede natin gawin for distance learning as part of accommodation? Scheduling. Ito yung pinakamahirap and I agree, it's like a chaos. Scheduling. So first thing first, as I said earlier, when we go back in August, we really don't need to give a lot of activities. So that means first thing first, we need to make sure we establish communication, we establish relationship, we establish empathy, and we need to establish schedule, fixed schedule. Okay, as I said, the maximum distance learning time that we can do every day is the maximum of 3 hours. That means hindi po siya pwedeng straight hours, pwede namang staggered 30 minutes. It depends. Okay? So it depends yung sa bahay. As a parent, you need to make sure meron kang schedule. At for sure, yung mga bata, as many words they can see, hindi naman nila follow yun. So most of our students, they are very visual. So as a parent, as a teacher, you can print something or maybe you can draw something. And then for every 30 minutes, these are the things that they can do. All right, so that's a visual schedule. Waking up testing. Okay, so yung mga bata, since nasa bahay naman tayo, why not breaking up the testing session? Like say for example, sa regular schooling, they have like an hour or 30 minutes of that testing session. Maybe we can give breaks. Like every 10 minutes, you can have breaks like water break, or bathroom break. Kasi, most of our students hindi naman pare-parehas eh. May mga bata talaga that they need to have break for them to get and to give best answers. Kasi sometimes anxiety is really one of the factors. Okay, setting. Sabi nga ng mga parents ating kanina, one of the problems for distance learning is setting. Medyo madaming distraction. So for the distance learning, we need to make sure yung parent natin, hopefully may area man lang na less ang distraction. Kahit maliit lang po na area ng bahay, walang masyadong nakadikit, as much as possible, ang meron lang board or scratch paper, walang nakikitang mga anything kasi it really adds up confusion to our student. All right? Working one-on-one with the teacher, yes. Okay, for the distance learning, it's not only giving modules, it's not only giving activities online, but we need to make sure that we have a face-to-face at least once a week. Okay, one-on-one to our students, especially dun sa ating mga caseload. Kasi, we need to make sure yung bata natin ay, they can function at home without any assistance. All right, one thing that we need to make sure is the independent skills, or if they need some assistance, or if they need some modifications. So those are the things as a teacher that we need to consider. Materials, we can provide, not really we can provide, but we can suggest, hey mom, you can listen to this channel. Hey mom, you can listen to this YouTube channel. Okay, those supplemental materials can enhance our students' skills while staying at home. So, madami naman po sa YouTube, especially ngayon, biglang dumami. Biglang dumami mga resources, not only in YouTube, but when you just type in Google, you can search in Google, Napakarami, like in Discovery Channel for science. Yun po. Alright? So instruction reducing the difficulty of assignment. Sabi nga as a teacher, hindi naman kailangan na magbigay ka ng maraming assignment. Kasi for sure yung mga bata, sino man gagawa ng assignment? Di ba yung mga sometimes, let's admit it, sometimes tayo din gumagawa ng assignment. And I believe, we are crossing the line. Alam niyo po yun, medyo meron tayong may red flag. So, kaya kailangan natin as a teacher, we need to make sure we have at least once a week face-to-face for our student just to know na ito ba talaga ay sila yung gumawa, output pa talaga nito. Yung mga ganun po. So as a teacher, wag po tayo magbigay ng napakaraming assignment. Maybe one homework per day or one homework for good for 3 days. Kasi ang kailangan naman talaga natin dito is we need to make sure they have a fixed schedule at kailangan ma-establish muna natin na kaya nila. Kasi for sure, with the distance learning, it's vague for them. It's a new for them, right? Okay. Peer tutor reading level, make sure your reading level is, or any materials that you have or you can give, make sure it is levelized according to the level of your student. Student response, it can be orally or dictated, or it can be written. So there's a lot of things. Ito yung gusto ko sa distance learning is not only written, but they can record their answers. They can audio tape their answers. They can also use word processor, right? Or they can also use Google Docs, right? There's a lot of things. All right, finally, we're now in a question and answer portion. Now, if you have any question, please, you can either chat it or you can raise a hand so we can unmute you. So please, if you have any questions, please, mag-ask mo kayo. Parang kulang yung isang oras ng talk po about distance learning, right? Hindi ko po kasi nakikita yung chats.
Hi, Teacher Al. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and also experiences. Medyo nabitin lang kami on the accommodation and modification part. I agree na parang kulang nga ang 1 hour. So, but don't worry, fellow educators, this is just one part of the session of our hashtag TTG Learning Uninterrupted Zoomference session on inclusive education. So actually this Friday, and if you just follow our page, we still have more sessions on inclusive education. So we hope po that you stay tuned and marami pa po tayong i-discuss doon. So actually this Friday, our topic is focus on remote learning for diverse learners. So focus na naman po tayo doon on mga apps, mga para mapadali ang buhay natin, especially for our special education and inclusive education teachers. Yes, so actually, Teacher Al, may mga few questions sa chat, and one question nga doon na na-capture ko earlier pa was even as how to present. So, ang dami po talaga mga challenges. So, I'm sure hindi din lahat ng public schools natin sa Philippines ang kaya ang online distance learning. Pero kung kaya po ng online distance learning, we can have, again, I mentioned there na since may need, if you can form a group, we'd be more than happy to assist you and teach you parang basic lang on how to present. Also, pero po sa mga modular naman yung type ng learning modality nila, we do hope po na we know mahirap mag-transfer ng lessons from yung face-to-face to online. So, if we can, lalo na po sa mga children with disabilities natin, our learners with disability, it's very important po to have some modification po, lalo na ngayong pandemic. So, let's try to avoid that one-size-fits-all na assessment type for them. And we have future topics regarding this. So, there's one question here, Teacher Aldwin, if you'd just like to quickly share, what platform do you think is best for students with disabilities? What do you use? Like, do you have an app in the US na makakatulong?
Nakikita niyo po ako?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Kasi po, nagkaroon ng technicalities. Yung desktop ko po medyo nawalan po ng
No
connection. So
problem.
I'm using my iPad po ngayon. Sorry po kung mahina po. But anyway, yun nga po, one of the platforms that we are using, the learning management system, we are using Canva, and we are using Blackboard and Moodle as well. So we have 3 learning management system. With the apps, we are using IXL. If you can go through with the IXL, with those letters IXL. So IXL.com, it's a good personalized learning platform that we can give to our students. Tapos, we are using NoRed Inc. NoRed Inc. is for language acquisition. Yung mga, with the grammar, with the verb tense, stuff like that. You can use that NoRedInc.com. Tapos
Teacher
in
Aldwin, if you
science,
can, yes, I'm trying to catch lang. Let me know kung tama. IXL.com? Ito ba yun?
yes, IXL.com po.
Okay. Para malagay natin sa chat.
For science naman, kasi alam natin yung science vocabulary is very vague to our students. You can use discoveryeducation.com or discovery.com for science.
Teacher Aldwin, I'm curious if these apps are all for free.
May mga free, pero sometimes it's a paid app. So kailangan
So yes, what we can do, actually po, there are lots of resources online, and gusto lang po natin talaga to find out, number one, if it's free and if it's appropriate for our learners. Baka naman it's just good for US, and we just have to contextualize it. So in our future webinars po, since we're hearing all your concerns, maybe what we can do is collate all of them and share it on our, abangan nyo lang po ang aming social media accounts, the Teachers Gallery, and our website, theteachersgallery.com, or our Facebook po. Doon namin i-share yung mga makikita namin. Again, ang gusto po namin i-envision sa Teachers Gallery is to create community po, where we can empower teachers to teach our learners with disabilities.
May tanong po si Ma'am Hazel Plaza. She said, based on your experience, what is the advisable number of students that should be accommodated in a class with this new normal? So, the advisable po, based sa aking experience po, ay 3 lang. 3 students per session. So, my session is only lasts for 30 minutes per session. So, if you have like 30 students, you can accommodate them for, 3 students at a time for every 30 minutes. And that's a good thing.
Yes,
Thank you for your response, sir. Can I add another question po?
Yes, please, Ma'am Hazel.
Is that with reference to special learners, or are we talking about regular students po?
Oh, sorry. I am telling about for the special one. Of course, as much as possible, kailangan mas maliit po yung ratio ng class size. Pero sa mga regular students po, we can have 30 or we can have average of 30 students. Sabi ko nga kayo na sa distance learning, we can have as many as you want. Kasi if we are using Zoom or if we're using like any learning management system, we can still, personalize those or any apps or any materials that you are using. Pero po, ang advice ko po, wala naman po talagang number, as much as possible, as many as you can po, as long as you can handle it, pwede po.
And I think I'd just like to add, ang one important partner po natin dito sa distance learning is really the parents at home. So our parents really need to step up as learning facilitators. So teachers, if you can speak with your parents para mapadali po, explain nyo lang po sa kanila na ito magiging role nila, kasama natin sila sa pag-develop ng skills ng mga bata, and it's really a work in progress, lalo na in this new normal.
Opo, balik po.
Thank you so much po.
Thanks, Ma'am Hazel. Do we still have any questions? I know medyo na tayo sa time.
Medyo nag-extend tayo sa time, yes. Pero thank you so much.
Yes, if wala na, since meron pang mga educators na nag-stay, thank you so much, Teacher Aldwin. And anyway, you can if you have questions, feel free to email us. Again, after this, we'd like to create that community of practice where you can be free to ask na, how do I do this? Okay, alam kong dapat kong gawin ang inclusive education. So where do we move forward from this? So we would like to create this platform po, and I hope active po ang ating mga email address para we can send you announcement on that. So,
Yes po.
let's proceed, Teacher Aldwin. So this is our favorite part sa Teacher's Gallery. So it's not just learning, but at the same time to have fun. So
Yay!
for those who stayed, it's raffle time. So follow us
Wow!
on our social media accounts. So for those who signed up, sorry Teacher Aldwin, binura ko ang pangalan mo. Baka manalo ka.
Okay lang po.
So
Okay lang po.
it's time for some raffle.
May raffle. Ang saya. Sana all.
Okay. Oops.
Sino po kaya mabubunot natin?
Teacher Aldwin, can you see the wheel? Nakikita
Opo.
ba?
Opo.
Okay.
So ako po yung DTI representative as of now.
Thank you so much. Okay, raffle na tayo. So lahat po nang nag-sign up, nandito po ang inyong mga names. So,
Makakatanggap po sila ng ano po.
okay. After this, I'll tell them.
Ay, sige. Excited na po ako.
Pero dapat nandito. Kanino pong email address ito?
Congratulations!
knpaha@gmail.com. Sorry, nasa chat ba? Nandito pa ba si KN Paha? Okay, siguro mag-count tayo ng up to 5 para if wala, we can select other winners na nandito pa rin. knpaha18@gmail.com. If you can unmute. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think.
Okay, sorry po.
Anyway, ang price natin, Teacher Aldwin, is 500 pesos worth of, it can be load or it's a Sodexo card. So, pwede niyo po siyang ibayad sa SM and any department stores na partner po nila. So, let's draw some more.
Ang saya naman. Sana mabunot po ako.
Sponsor ka na lang. Rachel Villanea at that nandito pa ba? Are you still here? Siguro nagutom na. Nagluto ng lunch.
Pasensya na po. Nag-extend po ako.
Alright. Wala si Ma'am Glycel. Okay. We still have some more. Okay, how about the next winner? Okay. So ayan, actually nag-chat na po yung dalawa, nag-private chat na sa akin.
Sige po.
Thank you so much to all our winners and we will contact you po. Thank you so much. So again, let us just go back on our slide. So, can you see the screen, Teacher Aldwin?
Opo.
Yes, so those are our social media accounts. Again, thank you, Teacher Aldwin. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and your expertise. Sana if may mga questions pa po ating mga fellow educators, we hope you can still help us. And kahit ma-contextualize lang natin in the Philippine setting. So, again, meron po tayong this Friday and next week meron din po. Thank you so much, dear teachers, for joining us and we hope you have a great day. This is Teacher Mai from the Teacher's Gallery.
Yes. Teacher Mai, meron po silang response thing or evaluation thing, right?
Yes. Ito po ang ating evaluation. I-send na lang din namin sa inyo.
Opo. I would really appreciate, guys, if you do, subjective evaluation para at least I know sa mga further webinars natin, at least alam ko po yung mga things that I need to tell, things that I need to share para po, ayun po, rooms for improvement as well for me.
Okay, guys, ito po ang ating link for the certificate. So it will just link you through a short evaluation. It would be helpful for us po yung mga feedback. So if may mga comments kayo or what else you're looking forward to hear from us, that would be very helpful. Again, on behalf of the Teachers Gallery and Teacher Aldwin, thank you so much for listening to us. And may we all have a great week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you po. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much po.
Thank you so much,
Opo.
everyone.
Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am.
Shout out ko lang po yung mga friends ko po na nag-participate. From
Hello sa lahat ng friends ni Teacher Aldwin.
Opo. Meron pong mga taga-Vietnam, Singapore po,
that's
of
good.
course sa US po, na mga friends ko po all throughout. Thank you po for joining. Sa alma mater ko po, thank you so much po.
Thank you so much.
And of course po, sa DepEd, Quezon City, tama ba? DepEd Division of Quezon City, dyan po nanggaling. Thank you po, madami po mga participants na nanggaling sa Quezon City.
Hello, mga taga Quezon City.
Hello, Teacher Aldwin.
Ayan, Teacher Aldwin, may mga friends po kayo.
Pati rin po sa Division of Manila at Division of
Follow us.
Manila po.
Thank you so much.
Okay po, thank you.
Alright. Flash ko lang sa mga nandito pa yung mga next nating conference.
Yan po yung mga conferences natin. Please jot down those dates and schedules so you can be updated for our next webinars.
Yes, sign up na po tayo. Alright. Pwede nyo pong kunan ng picture po yung nasa screen para you can join us again. Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye, guys. Thank you.